A U.S. Air Force pilot straps in on a flight line in Florida. The jet in front of him looks familiar: twin tails, twin engines. The classic F-15 outline that has dominated the sky since the 1970s. But as he taxis out, ground crews and visiting pilots keep turning to stare. This isn't an old Eagle, this is something different. 10 hardpoints under the wings bristle with air-to-air missiles. A new radar hums to life, powerful enough to scan an entire battlespace. Inside, the cockpit glows with digital glass displays, not 1980s steam gauges. On the network, this aircraft isn't just another fighter, it's about to become a missile truck, an airborne command node, and potentially a launch platform for weapons the public hasn't even seen tested yet. On paper, the U.S. Air Force is supposed to be done with fourth-generation jets. Stealth was the future. The F-22 and F-35 were supposed to replace everything. So why did the Air Force go back to Boeing and say, "Build us a brand new F-15 and make it the most advanced Eagle ever"? Because when planners ran the numbers on China-Russia and the next 20 years of air war, one brutal truth stood out. They need a heavy, fast, brutally capable, non-stealth fighter that can carry more weapons, fly further, and survive in ugly conditions while the stealth jets do their own jobs.
You're watching Elite U.S. Military, and today we're breaking down the top 5 reasons the F-15EX is the U.S. Air Force's next superweapon.
What it can do that even the F-35 can't, and why America's rivals are watching this old design very, very closely. Reason number 5. The F-15EX exists because the U.S. Air Force has a numbers problem, and this jet is the fastest way to fix it. For years, the backbone of American air superiority over the U.S. homeland and key theaters has been the F-15CD Eagle. Those jets were designed in the 1970s, built mostly in the 80s, and flown hard for decades. They racked up an unmatched air-to-air kill record. But time and physics don't care about your win streak. By the late 2010s, structural inspections were turning up serious fatigue issues. Some F-15CS were literally aging out of safe flight. At the same time, the Air Force didn't have enough F-22s. Production ended at 187 jets, and F-35 deliveries, while ramping up, weren't fast enough to simply replace everything one for one. Now add the China problem. U.S. planners expect any high-end conflict in the Indo-Pacific to involve long ranges, large areas, and huge packages of aircraft operating together, stealth jets up front, non-stealth support shooters behind them, tankers, AWACS, jammers, and more. That kind of fight eats airplanes. It doesn't just need a few elite stealth fighters. It needs mass. Enter the F-15EX Eagle II. From the Air Force's perspective, the X is a way to rapidly add combat capacity without inventing an entirely new airframe. The logistics, maintenance infrastructure, simulators, and training pipelines for the F-15 already exist. Boeing still has the production line hot from building advanced F-15 variants for Saudi Arabia and Qatar. That means the U.S. can buy a new fighter that slots into existing squadrons far faster than designing a clean-sheet aircraft. The plan, still evolving, is to buy just over 100 F-15EXs, maybe more if budgets and politics line up. These jets will replace aging F-15CS in Air National Guard units that protect the homeland and key strategic sites. They'll also be available for expeditionary deployments overseas. Every X that enters service is one more heavy fighter able to carry a massive payload, defend airspace, or act as a magazine for long-range missiles in support of stealthier platforms. In other words, the F-15EX isn't about nostalgia. It's about quickly filling a dangerous force structure gap with something that can fight on day one. It gives the Air Force numbers, and not just any numbers, but heavy, capable fighters that can swing between air-to-air and air-to-ground roles as needed. Reason number 4. The F-15EX can carry a ridiculous amount of firepower. One of the limiting factors in modern air combat isn't just who sees whom first, it's who runs out of missiles first. Fifth-generation stealth fighters like the F-22 and F-35 are optimized to carry weapons internally to maintain stealth. That's great for survivability, but it limits how many missiles they can haul on a given sortie, especially in the early days of a conflict when stealth is non-negotiable. The F-15EX doesn't have to worry about that. It inherits the Eagle's massive wing area and powerful engines, combined with updated hardpoints and weapons integration. In a pure air-to-air configuration, The X can carry up to 12 AMRAAM-class beyond-visual range missiles, and 4 AI MEN-X Sidewinders, 16 air-to-air weapons in total. That's more than some entire 4-ship formations of other fighters carry combined. This is where the missile truck concept comes in. In a high-end fight near China, stealthy F-35s and, one day, NGAD, next-generation air dominance, platforms might penetrate forward, using their sensors and low observability to get close to enemy aircraft and air defenses without being seen. But instead of each stealth jet lugging a huge number of its own missiles, they can network with F-15EXs sitting farther back. The EXs, loaded down with missiles, receive target data via secure data links from the stealth jets and AWACS. They then launch volleys of weapons from safer distances. The F-35s act as forward scouts and snipers. The F-15EXs act as ammo carriers and gunslingers, turning their raw payload capacity into decisive volume of fire. And this isn't just theory. The Air Force has already demonstrated concepts like remote weapons employment, where one aircraft launches a missile cued and guided by another. The F-15EX, with its huge payload, long range, and advanced radar, is tailor-made to be that remote shooter. It's not just air-to-air either. The X can haul a massive variety of air-to-ground weapons, JDAMs, small-diameter bombs, anti-ship missiles, and potentially hypersonic weapons as they mature. Its hardpoints and strong undercarriage mean it can carry big, heavy munitions that smaller fighters struggle with. In a Pacific scenario, that means an F-15EX can transform into a standoff strike platform, slinging long-range anti-ship missiles at Chinese surface groups or firing land attack cruise missiles at coastal airbases and radar sites again, often without needing to push into the densest SAM coverage. Bottom line, when the Air Force needed a platform that could carry a stupid amount of firepower and tie into modern networks, the upgraded Eagle beat out a lot of shiny options. The F-15EX is a superweapon not because it's invisible, but because it can turn raw payload into tactical leverage across an entire theater. Reason number 3. Under the skin, the F-15EX is not a 1970s jet. It's a 21st century sensor and electronic warfare platform wrapped in a familiar shape. At the heart of its upgrade package is the NAPG-ED2AES, a radar modern active electronically scanned array. That's not just a fancy label. AESA radars can track multiple air and ground targets simultaneously at long range, map terrain with high resolution for precise strikes, change frequencies rapidly to resist jamming, support beyond visual range engagements with far more reliability compared to old mechanically scanned sets. This is like replacing a flashlight with a stadium floodlight hooked to a supercomputer. For the F-15EX, it means the jet can see farther, sort more targets, and share that picture across the network. Then there's EPAWSS, the Eagle Passive Active Warning and Survivability System. This is the F-15EX's electronic warfare brain and shield. EPAWSS can detect enemy radars and emissions, analyze them, and respond with jamming or deception. It helps the jet know when it's being targeted, what's targeting it, and how to confuse or blind that threat long enough to escape or fight back. Combined, a PG-82 and EPAWSS give the F-15EX something older Eagles never truly had: a robust electronic survival toolkit in dense threat environments. No, it's not stealth. But if you're going to send a non-stealth aircraft into a modern fight, you better give it the tools to bend the odds. EPAWSS is that tool. Inside the cockpit, the X ditches much of the Cold War heritage for a modern glass cockpit. Large color displays, advanced mission computers, and helmet-mounted sights turn what used to be a workload nightmare juggling dozens of analog dials and separate boxes into a more integrated, intuitive environment. Pilots can see threat, target, and friendly information fused into a coherent picture instead of scattered across instruments. There's also the simple but important fact that the F-15 airframe itself is tough. Twin engines, twin tails, and a proven structure give pilots margin for error and survivability when things go wrong. The Eagle has a long history of bringing pilots home, even when badly damaged. The X builds on that legacy with modernized structure and systems designed to last thousands of hours more. Does this make the F-15EX invincible? No. In the heart of China's most heavily defended zones, stealth platforms still go first. But survivability isn't binary, it's a spectrum. The X sits at the high end of non-stealth survivability, Aware, jam-capable, networked, and backed by decades of engineering experience. For enemy planners, that's a problem. You can't just assume old 15 when an X appears on the scope. You're dealing with a heavily armed sensor-rich equipped heavy fighter that can see you, jam you, and kill you from beyond visual range while lending its radar picture to every friendly jet nearby. So why is the U.S. Air Force buying a brand new version of a fighter jet that first flew during the Nixon administration? The F-15EX Eagle II looks old school, but it has one of the smartest and most misunderstood buys in the Pentagon's recent history. And it's not just about getting more jets on the flight line. It's about completely changing how the Air Force plans to fight its next war. Stick around, because by the end of this, you'll see why America's rivals should be more worried about this old jet than some of the brand new stealth fighters. There are two massive reasons the F-15EX is a game changer. Let's start with reason number 2, flexibility and cost effectiveness. Stealth jets like the F-35 and the secretive NGAD are incredibly expensive. We're talking high purchase prices and even higher costs per flight hour. They are specialized tools optimized for sneaking through heavily defended airspace and gathering intelligence. You don't want to burn through the limited lifespan of these priceless assets doing routine missions. Think about it, using an F-22 or an F-35 for a simple homeland defense patrol is like using a formula. One car to go grocery shopping. It's wasteful. This is where the F-15EX shines. It's significantly cheaper to fly per hour than an F-22, and it's even competitive with some of the older, tired jets it's replacing, once you factor in their constant maintenance needs. Plus, it shares a lot of its DNA with the F-15s that ground crews and pilots have known for decades. This means maintenance is faster and training is simpler. So you can use the F-15EX for the day-to-day grind without hesitation. Need to protect U.S. airspace? Load an X with a dozen air-to-air missiles. Its powerful new radar can see threats from a huge distance, making it perfect for intercepting unidentified aircraft or deterring enemy bombers. Need to quickly boost your combat power in a crisis? Air National Guard units that already fly F-15s can switch to the F-15EX far more easily than they could to a completely new stealth fighter. When time is critical and you need to get jets in the air fast, that kind of rapid transition is priceless. But that's just the supporting role. The most important reason for the F-15EX, reason number 1, is that it's a stealth force multiplier. It's a non-stealth fighter that makes every single stealth jet in the U.S. arsenal deadlier. Picture a future conflict over the Pacific. Around 2030, a flight of F-35s and next-generation NGAD fighters push forward, using their stealth to quietly slip past enemy defenses. They're like ghosts, mapping out enemy radar sites, finding surface-to-air missile batteries, and tracking enemy fighter patrols. Now, in the old way of thinking, each of these stealth jets would have to carry its own limited supply of weapons. But that's not how this works anymore. Instead, as the stealth jets find targets, they use secure data links to send that targeting information back to F-15EXs, which are circling safely outside the most dangerous enemy missile zones. These Xs are loaded for bear. We're talking a massive arsenal of AMRAMs, new long-range missiles, and powerful standoff weapons. They become the flying magazines, the long-range artillery of the air battle. So when a forward F-35 pilot spots a high-value target like an enemy AESA plane, a refueling tanker, or a formation of fighters, they don't have to risk getting close to engage. They just paint the target, and an F-15EX, dozens or even hundreds of miles away, launches a missile to take it out. The X can do this without ever turning on its powerful radar and giving away its own position. The same principle applies to striking targets on the ground or at sea. Stealth bombers like the B-21 or F-35s can find and identify critical command posts or warships. Then from a safe distance, the F-15EXs can unleash a massive salvo of cruise missiles and smart bombs right onto those coordinates. Each F-15EX exponentially increases the firepower and effectiveness of the stealth assets it's supporting. This is why anyone who dismisses the F-15EX as just an old jet is completely missing the point. It isn't supposed to do the F-35's job. It's designed to let the F-35 and other stealth platforms do their jobs better. It carries the extra weapons so they don't have to. It absorbs the risk of carrying a huge missile load. It provides a flexible, powerful option that doesn't burn through the precious flight hours of our most advanced and expensive fighters. For America's rivals, this is the real nightmare. They aren't just facing a few F-35s or B-21s. They're facing an entire integrated system, where a supposedly non-stealth fighter becomes a superweapon because of how it's connected to everything else. In an era where adversaries are building huge numbers of fighters and missile systems, the U.S. isn't just responding with more stealth. It's taking one of its most legendary airframes, gutting it, and rebuilding it as a 21st century networked killing machine. That's why the F-15EX exists. And that's why when you ask Air Force planners what comes after the Eagle, they don't say retirement. They say Eagle 2.
You've been watching Elite U.S Millitary. If you want a full breakdown how the F-15EX stacks up at say F-17 and J-16
Type Eagle 2 so we know you made it to the end.
Make sure you like this video, subscribe to Elite U.S Millitary, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive.